Hello, this is Paul McGann.
And this is Jake McGann.
And you're listening to
Traveling the Vortex.
Ding dong.
Traveling the Vortex.
For your enlightenment, education, and edification, we join the Doctor as he travels the Vortex. And then episode number 162. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
I'm edified.
I'm educated.
I'm enlightened.
We sound like we planned that.
So what's going on? Did you guys watch the Super Bowl?
For a while. Then I
awesome...
gave up on the donkeys, because they are now the donkeys again. I broke down and rooted for them because they are in our division. And I like I almost said Elway. I keep calling him Elway all night. Eli, not Eli. Peyton. The other Manning.
The other Manning.
I like Peyton Manning a lot. And so I broke down and I decided to root for the donkeys. And I apparently picked the wrong team because they didn't show up.
They were doomed from the start because Glenn chose to root for them.
Yeah.
That's pretty much... For all of you Broncos fans out there, Traveling the Vortex would like to apologize that Glenn decided to take an interest in the Super Bowl this year.
Next season, I'll root for the Broncos, and the Chiefs will beat them each time.
That's
right?
the theory.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'll try that. Remind me.
I will remind you. I was at work, but we were kind of keeping tabs every now and then. I'd log on to Google. And,
I'm surprised you guys didn't just flip it onto one of the TVs.
I haven't figured out a way to do that yet.
Might not have cable.
Yeah, I don't think they do, but every now and then we'd Google the score and we're like, geez Louise. Are you kidding me? I can't, I'm sorry, Chrissy, and Glenn, for that matter, I can't bring myself to root for the Broncos pretty much ever. But I didn't feel bad rooting for the Seahawks just because, well, they used to be in our division, so I rationalized it that way.
That's a good point.
Yay, somebody formerly of the AFC West is in this.
I'm pretty embarrassed for Denver. That's pretty sad.
Yeah.
I think what was most fun was watching the tweet stream as the game was winding down. The best one was from Buffalo Wild Wings. And I saw it on a retweet from somebody else, but Buffalo Wild Wings posted, sorry, fans, we don't have a button for this.
Oh, wow. That's good.
1,000 points to that guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw somebody else tweet that maybe the power should go out and that would help the Broncos get it together.
Give them some time to... Let's not talk about that anymore. That was dismal.
Halftime show was pretty good.
How was it?
Bruno Mars and Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That's an interesting combo.
I thought the same thing going into it, but it was really pretty good. It was really neat.
And they got the sound guy knew what he was doing this time.
Yeah, you could actually hear it.
No wardrobe malfunctions?
No wardrobe malfunctions. Well, Anthony and Flea didn't have shirts on at all, so you want to call that a nip slip. Yeah.
They didn't come out and play in just socks
right,
again?
No. They weren't naked, let's give them that.
Well, what else did you guys do?
A lot of more playing Minecraft. We got the adipose to drop. Got the adipose to drop in
yeah, I did
Legacy,
too.
So
I haven't got mine yet.
Fun flicks with friends last night.
We watched Planet of the Apes last night. That was fun.
So
Caitlin's a fan of Planet of the Apes.
Really?
Yeah. She watched with us, and I said, we're doing Flicks with Friends tonight. We'll watch the Planet of the Apes, and she goes, yeah, okay. So she said, "I'm watching it." She was transfixed the whole time. And,
there was a moment when there was a 30-minute chunk when Brittany just went radio silent.
Yeah.
Because
I think I've seen it probably half a dozen times, and I totally get into it. And I go, "Oh yeah, we're tweeting along here." So every once in a while, I'd throw something out, and then I go back to watching it. But I was enjoying watching Caitlin, who was transfixed. And
that's awesome.
As soon as it was over, she goes, "Can we watch the next one?" So, yes, but not tonight because it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's
so now
such a good movie.
I'm reconsidering my stance of revisiting all of them now after watching the first one. But I counted it up. if we do it at the beginning of each month and do Rise at the beginning of July, we can get all of them in, not counting the crappy reboot, before dawn. Or before dawn comes out.
One a month we can
If
do
you
that.
watch it at night, you get it in before dawn.
It's true.
I'm so mad. I didn't join you guys.
Fun was had by all. Brittany hadn't seen it before.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
And Michelle's only seen it one other time.
Yeah, and
before this.
recently.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Flicks with Friends is all about.
What she?
We're
That's
educating,
what
enlightening,
it's
and
becoming.
edifying our listeners to say, you need to watch this.
Well, Brittany tweeted, said, how much trouble I get into if I mention that I haven't seen this before? And I thought, I kind of actually like introducing them with Flicks, because you got to get their reactions as they go from people that you can't be there in the room with. So it's nice for them to be on Twitter. But then what happens is they get so transfixed on what they're watching that it kind of we get silent for a little while.
And she did say,
although I kept watching Keith's tweets kept going because he's seen it enough times.
Yeah,
he's making comments on everything, and he's giving little behind the scenes facts and tidbits. And,
I was playing Sean this week.
yeah.
And
I'd have been that too, because I've seen it. I'm probably right with you on the first one. Not nearly as much on the rest of them, but on the first one, I think I've seen it probably,
I think the one that I haven't
20,
seen,
25
I think
times.
Beneath and Battle 4 are the two I've seen the least.
Escape would probably be my next most
I think
visits.
so too.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That just has a great place in my heart.
I like
Brittany did say that she didn't know the twist, the surprise. That's
It's
It's
one of
tough to
those-
not know at this point.
It's ingrained in pop
It's-
culture now.
it's- yeah, that's like
although
the
Caitlin
Vader surprise.
didn't know, but she figured it out.
Really?
Well,
Just
I
about-
never noticed
yeah,
until
about-
this time through. They laid those hints very
Yeah,
heavy in the beginning.
About 10 minutes
and
before
tried
the
to make
end,
you
she
convinced
goes.
otherwise.
She said, "This is Earth, isn't it?" I think it was in the cave when they were they found the baby
okay.
doll and all that. And she goes, "This is Earth, isn't it?" And I said, "I don't know. You have to wait." She goes, "I think I figured it out. This is Earth in the future. He didn't go anywhere. They crash landed on the planet in the future." And I said, "We'll have to wait."
Wow.
So, of course, when she sees the Statue of Liberty, she goes, "Yeah, I knew it." Yeah, you did.
She's got her mother sensibility about her.
Yeah, she really does. I watched Man of Steel again this week.
Uh-oh.
So I still have all the same issues I had before. None of that was fixed, and you're wrong about there not being anybody in Metropolis. There were people everywhere that were getting bombarded, and you're right that Smallville's even worse.
I never.
The Superman that I know would have taken the fight away from the city. All right, but besides that, because that's my issues with it last time, and we always had that problem, it hit me that there's no justification for Superman being here and being protector of Earth. And here's why.
Oh, okay. I never
Because
considered that.
if I have a house and Joe comes and lives with me, my old college buddy comes and lives with me. He's living in my basement, and he brings in his mini fridge so that he can have his beer in his mini fridge. And it's this old rundown mini fridge. And then while he's living with me, he's training to be a firefighter. Then he becomes a firefighter, moves out and leaves his old mini fridge, which then shorts out, catches my house on fire. He comes to my house and puts a fire out. He's a hero? That's what happened here. He gets sent to Earth. His dad sends him in a spaceship. Zod follows him to Earth. If he hadn't come here, he wouldn't have had to have been protector of Earth. If he hadn't been sent here in the first place, and we're setting him up going, oh yeah, he's a good guy, he's protecting us, he's our hero. Zod and his crew would have never come to Earth because, number one, he would have never activated the spaceship, which is what brought them here in the first place, the one that was left here, the scout ship. The thing would have sat there and never been activated, because even if we'd have found it,
We wouldn't have been able to.
couldn't have activated it. There's no way they would have come to Earth to come terraform our planet and create their new Krypton here. And he brought the alien, whatever the Matrix, whatever he brought with him in his DNA. He brought them with him. No, I'm sorry. You brought the people here for evil. Just because you beat them up and killed them and drove them off into a black hole, you do not get to stay here and be protector, and you're not the hero. I'm sorry. That is horrible, and I didn't see it the first time. I saw it this time, and that made the movie even worse this time.
I don't have to read
I'm not
James's
gonna-
rebuttal now.
I'm not going to praise the firefighter who burned my house down.
Preaching to the choir.
Anyway, that's all I have to say about Man of Steel. Let's hope Batman's better.
No, it won't be.
No, I'm sure it won't. But
Did you hear the casting news for Superman 2?
I don't hate Jesse Eisenberg
Yeah.
as Luthor. I don't hate it. I'm a little leery, but I'm also intrigued. I think that might be interesting to see.
It'll be a different take on it, that's for sure.
I kind of, when I first saw the announcement, I thought, I don't know. But then, as I thought about it, I thought, well, let's see where he goes with it. Although, then, I guess Ben Affleck was saying some stuff this week. I don't know what he said, but they were saying that he was making it even worse for him being Batman. I'll have to find out what it was he said, but I thought, why are you rocking the boat? People already don't like the idea of you being Batman. What are you doing?
I'm not going to read it out, but the last time we discussed Man of Steel, James wrote a 2-page dissertation on why he was wrong and why he anticipated that you were going to be wrong, because, as he put it, you're my kryptonite. It doesn't matter what I say, you're going to come down on the other side of it. So he had it all set and ready to go to hit you with it. But yeah, you agreed with me this time, so I'm not going to go into it now.
It got worse.
I'll read it later.
We still talk about this one at work. It's the equivalent of, Superman should be, You think of Superman, you think of America, and you think of red, white, and blue, and you think of, oh yeah,
I'm more than Captain America.
No, see, it doesn't get any more patriotic and good than that.
Here's why, and everybody does, and here's why. Because in DC, they wrote a comic called Red Sun.
Well.
And they set an Elseworld story. What happened if he landed in the USSR?
Yeah.
And the reason why they wrote that is because Superman is red, white, and blue USA. And they wanted to give people a look at what would have happened had he been somewhere else. That's why everybody thinks of him as America. That's all I'm going to say.
I guess I've always just thought of him as alien. He's not from here. He's not American.
Even in the movie, he says, I'm from Kansas.
I
lived in
know
Kansas.
what he says.
That's more American can you get than that? Anyway.
I don't know. The new one's one of those things that you try not to make those snap decisions. It would be like criticizing Peter Capaldi for being a horrible doctor, even though he hasn't done anything yet. So I'm trying really, really hard to refrain from that. But when you start to...
They've already done... We've got something to judge from.
That's just it. Is when you start to see these little, in my mind, mistakes, and then they kind of compound and compound and compound. When you look at the fact that they got Eisenberg playing Lex Luthor, who, I'm sorry, is not menacing. I want my Lex Luthor to be menacing. Jesse Eisenberg is not menacing.
I don't know. He might be able to pull off the Unhinged.
But how are they going to rewrite the character to accommodate that? The fact that there is a LexCorp already in existence in this universe, but we know that they're already in oil and they've got billboards and all this kind of stuff because of what happened in Man of Steel. He did all that when he was 4? Did he inherit the company?
That's yes.
So they're changing his origin story then to accommodate that. Second, and I'm not a comic book geek, and I know that. Then there's the Wonder Woman, bad casting. Then there's Batfleck, bad cast. You start to look at all these things piling up, and you're like, this is going to be a train wreck. The
problem is they're trying
Why is
to...
Wonder Woman bad casting?
She's not Wonder Woman in any way, shape, or form.
Maybe not shape, but that's it. No, I'm serious. But I don't need a bosomy.
Well, I'm not even talking that. I'm talking about somebody who Wonder Woman should not be stick figure supermodel, and that's what
should
they
not
cast.
be Supergirl.
Yeah, well, not even that. I don't know.
That one I'm kind of reserving judgment for, but
I'm not impressed so far.
I was a little. Again, I've been a little leery about everything that's been announced, but
anyway,
yeah,
Marvel's doing it right regardless.
Yeah, Winter Soldier looks incredible.
I didn't see
Guardians
the
of the Galaxy, though. On the other hand, I'm a little.
Oh, I really wish there was a trailer for it.
I did too. Yeah. I'm a little leery of that.
Amazing
one,
Spider-Man.
I don't
2
know that much
incredible.
about Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm really
in the comic
excited
books
for it.
either.
There's a raccoon and a talking tree. I'm there.
It looks
Why not?
ridiculous. That's why I'm looking forward to it. They said,
It's gonna be the Green Lantern, but not
they
have
left-
the human characters.
well,
all
they-
the other guys.
well, no, there is a human.
They left the raccoon out of Green
Oh, did
Lantern
they?
on purpose. Yeah.
of
Green Lantern.
of Green
Green
Lantern.
Lantern, on
Green Lantern has a
purpose.
raccoon too.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I can't know his name. Chip. That's his name. It's spelled CHP. I think apostrophe P. But they have a raccoon. Yeah.
This just in. J.J. Abrams is holding casting for Jax.
It's Jackson.
Yeah,
Why do you
that
keep
guy.
saying Jax?
I abbreviate
It's
it
Jackson.
because he's got an X in his name to make it cool. No.
It's the Green Rabbit from Marvel. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're
Star
talking.
Wars,
We
okay.
discussed it.
covered that
I was
previously.
just making
Yeah.
sure that we.
We've covered that on the podcast
Okay,
before.
we gave a reference point last week then. Okay. Anyway, let's get off this Man of Steel. Did you guys do anything else this week? Exciting, fun?
Got a couple more vinyl figures. 4 and 11, if you saw.
Speaking of, I
You
finally
started the photo challenge book
Yeah,
titles.
started
photo
that
challenge.
today.
Oh, there's books.
ABC.
It started yesterday. but
book titles.
Oh,
Keith
I'm
caught
not
up today.
too far behind then.
Yeah, it's-
ABC's a book titles, huh?
C is starting in like 49 minutes.
Hour time. Is it already February 3rd almost?
Yeah.
It is.
Lord.
Groundhog saw a shadow today.
Yeah.
Again.
So 6 more weeks of winter.
One of my kids at work looked at me and he says, I'm just really amazed that they could, tame that thing to not run off. Because if I got yanked out of my house every year, I'd just move. I wouldn't. I don't know. I've never been. I'm pretty sure they probably keep Puxatawny Phil in a cage and bring him out and put him in the thing.
Stomp
Before,
it out.
Yeah.
Really?
He made an appearance at several schools like last week.
Yeah, he's got to make the rounds beforehand.
That way you know Groundhog Day is coming.
And then he followed it up with, he's got to be really old by this point.
It's all a racket anyway. I love the fact that it's if he sees his
Public
shadow,
schools at work.
it's
The
six
idea
more
is-
weeks of winter, and if he doesn't see his shadow, spring is right around the
The
corner.
idea of that is
Probably
so
in 6
backwards.
weeks, but we just don't say it. Yeah, and then the idea is backwards. That's what Caitlin was like. Wait a minute. If he sees his shadow, there's more winter. Yeah,
Wouldn't that mean the
it's kind
sun's
of weird.
shining and
I
spring
think
is
the
coming?
idea is like the farmer's almanac is that if the sun is out that early in the winter, you've probably got more winter to deal
Oh.
with. If the sun's not out, you're probably looking for sunshine soon.
Okay.
But the whole spring is right around the corner. Well, that could be right around the corner in 6 weeks. So it's just stupid. And what was it, Kyle? No, not Kyle. Matt last year, I think, when this came about, said the last 4 seasons that they did Punxsutawney Phil was wrong the last 4 times.
Wow, I'm
For
surprised
the
it's that
majority of the
short of a
United States.
streak.
Anyway,
We predicted an early spring last year, and we had snow in May. So
yeah, we did get snow in May. Somebody shoot the groundhog.
yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. Time to get a new one.
All right.
We need a
Anything
new-
else this
a
week?
new weather
We
prognosticator.
sound like we're reaching for things to talk about. If we're not, let's
There was
move on
something
to
else I
news.
was going to mention, but I don't remember what now.
Speaking of, I finally looked at the box on those vinyl figs, and the 2 that I'm missing, the 2 and the 6, are the ones that they're the rarest. They're like a 1 in 20 versus
Oh,
the
are they?
2 in 20 for everybody else. It's like, man. But
Yeah, just go on eBay.
I may know where some other figures are in that allotment if you want to come in. I kind of opened most of them.
Oh, did you do more than just the 2?
God, yes. I started getting angry. I couldn't stop ripping open boxes and then taping them back up, looking for these things. The boss is going to come in tomorrow and go, what the hell?
Well, at least you didn't open the bag for it.
No, I opened that too.
What?
Oh, yeah, I violated
Did
the
you
whole...
find another 8?
No, I didn't find another 8. He's one of the rare ones. He's in that same...
I think I'm not going to be getting an 8 then.
He's in that same mix.
Sarah and I have been watching Being Human. It's really good.
Being human. Okay.
Being
Being
Human.
human. Is this the robot cop movie?
No,
show?
this is the Ghost, Werewolf, and Vampire UK show.
Oh, yeah, the UK one's not bad.
I remember you guys talking about it, and you guys, like, got 2 episodes in, were like, meh. And it sounded like because you guys watched the unaired pilot first.
We watched, I want to say we watched the whole first season. The unaired pilot definitely is different because it's
different. Aside
different
from
characters.
George, it's
it's an entirely different cast. The premise is cool. The problem that I had with it is George, because every episode apparently takes place exactly 1 month later because it's always a full moon and the werewolf is transforming. It's like, you didn't know this was coming? Mark it on your calendar. There's an app for that. Put a red circle on the wall. Don't go outside today.
We just watched episode 4 and he didn't transform in episode 4.
It's the only one in the season where he doesn't. I guarantee you. Every episode he transforms. And he's whiny about it. I mean, I understand.
Great, an angsty werewolf.
Well, I understand there's a traumatic physiological change happening. Money whines when he does. Oh, it's horrible. And then the ghost is stupid.
We're really liking it. I don't know.
Keep going.
You must have some foresight.
Keep going.
I've heard that once they leave the show, it's not good, though.
Oh, they leave?
Yeah, they leave and new people come on. They pull a Misfits with it.
The whole premise of the show is a vampire, werewolf, and a ghost live together.
Wait a minute. This isn't the cast of Misfits I'm going to stay with?
No.
Oh,
spoilers.
But okay.
I'm already not liking it, so I'm thinking, okay, the more I
if you're
watch
not gonna like it, then if you don't like it yet.
How far in are you?
I think I'm on the 4th or 5th episode.
There's only 6 episodes in the season.
Oh, I'm almost done. Then.
And you're not liking it?
No.
Then don't
no.
continue.
You're
going to get more of the same. And if you're not liking it now, don't bother with it.
Although I do think some of the storytelling
they did
gets
that
a
with
little
Skins, too.
better.
They changed the cast after 2 seasons.
Well, one of the guys in Misfits leaves after season 2. 2 people leave at the end of season 4. No, 3.
For which one?
In the Misfits, the end of season 4. Or no, at the end of season 3, when we start season 4, there's only one guy left from the original cast, and then halfway through season 4, he leaves. And that's when we just were kind of like, okay.
Yeah, that's when we stopped watching it, because the one guy leaves at the end of 2.
Well,
no, yeah.
The bad side,
and 3 is still good.
I don't want to spoil this too much for you, but it sounds like you're going to quit anyways. Probably. The bad part of it is that they just unceremoniously leave, for him at least, at the end of season 2. He just start the next season and he's gone. Well, they drop a line of he's not here and that's it.
If you watch the Christmas special though, that kind of fell in between that, that at least explains why he went where he went.
But they didn't do enough of a setup to.
No, they didn't.
It was as abrupt as Romana leaving.
It was just, well, see you later. You didn't even get that because that happened off screen.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're not liking it, don't continue.
Okay.
But yeah, being human, like I said, the ghost is stupid. She makes really, really poor decisions. And the vampire is the one that I'm really... He's got really like a really cool arc because there's other vampires and they're in positions of power and they're getting ready to stage a coup and actually start taking over the world. And he's like, whoa, we don't do that, you know. But he's stuck in his flat with his werewolf and his ghost.
Because he's trying to be human.
He's got all this personal drama going on trying to be human. Meanwhile, the vampires are rising up, taking over.
Human.
Yeah, it's
I got the concept.
Get it?
They just nailed it home several times in the first
did
the episodes of.
So it's like, pow! This is why we called this.
Because it almost does it heavier in like 2 and 3. Like people watch the first episode and we're like, why is it called being human? I don't get it. It's not about humans. We're really liking it. We'll see if we continue to like it.
Let me know, because after we, I want to say we got the whole first season knocked out, and then we were just like, eh.
One of the ladies at Sarah's work is the one who encouraged her to watch it, and she really liked it all the way up until like all them left.
I've heard the U.S. version is.
I tried the
horrible.
U.S. version. It's not. That was long ago, so yeah, it wasn't very good.
It was on Syfy, wasn't it?
It's still on Syfy.
It's still on Syfy. It's
still
outperformed the British one, I think. It's got more seasons now.
Yeah, at least more seasons.
It's The Office,
but. Also, and more episodes since they did longer seasons.
There's one we got in at work. I wish I could remember the name of it now. It's another BBC drama, and it sounded really cool. It's about this kid, and he commits suicide. And then there's a zombie apocalypse, and he comes back, and he's really kind of pissed off about it because it defeated the purpose of offing himself in the first place. And so now he's got to kind of go back home and deal with his family, who's angry at him, and what the hell.
In the flesh.
Yeah, I think that might have been the name of it.
I heard great things about that.
It looked like it really had a really intriguing for a zombie, because zombies are meh. But the tagline on it was genius from whichever reviewer talked about it. He says, zombies are hot right now, but leave it to the British to make them intelligent. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty much sums up where I'm kind of at with zombies right now. I'm so kind of done with that genre in general. But this one sounded like it could be kind of cool.
I heard really good things about it. And it's like a really short season, too.
Yeah, it's another one of those that, 6 and over. But so let's move on to news.
News. We got a costume reveal.
That wasn't big news at all.
Oh.
Had you seen the costume before they revealed it?
Hours after we got done talking on our podcast last week. Oh, here's some news. It's like,
Not even a full day.
we're gonna have to move our recording nights to Monday nights. We just need to do that. Sunday's not working, guys. Okay, so
That's good. I like it.
Glenn?
I'm lukewarm about it. I don't hate it, but
I'm interested to see if it's more of a vest underneath or a cardigan vest.
I kind of hoped for a little more quirk. I don't even know if I wanted more quirk. I just wanted more of a movement away from
the tails.
Yeah, or just
it looks very much like Matt's purple outfit.
That's the problem.
It just
I
looks
wanted
a black
them to move
version
a
of
little
it.
further away from.
It's not even black. It's actually blue.
It's very dark blue.
Is it?
It's a
I
very
like
dark
it.
blue.
Somebody
And black pants.
Somebody
I
said
like
blue.
the wingtips though.
They're blue.
Are they blue?
Yep.
Somebody said that Capaldi looks like a magician.
Well, the stance that they have him with the red lining of the code is very reminiscent of 3.
Well, and then he's doing the
hand motion.
Did you see
being almost Spider-Man?
all the memes that are out already.
all the litany of Photoshoppers
Yeah.
that came out? And I retweeted all of them. The
Did
day
you see
of.
the GIF where he's doing the
Pelvic thrust?
pelvic thrust? That's great.
Because there was the magician one, there was him throwing a yo-yo at the screen, there was him throwing tasseled sombreros.
I haven't seen some of those.
The one I'd like the least is they have him doing Gangnam.
him holding the severed head of Matt Smith.
I haven't seen that
Oh,
one.
wow.
Don't want to.
One after another. But my absolute favorite was called Peter Puppetception, and it's him standing there and he's holding strings, like marionette strings, attached to a miniature Peter Capaldi in the same pose, who's holding strings attached to a miniature Peter Capaldi. It's the best things ever. It's like, you guys are awesome. I was having a good time with that. It was just one after another. They did not stop coming. And it was the good thing was that for as much fun as they were poking, you could tell that everybody was poking in good-natured fun as opposed to, I hate this costume, here's what I think of it.
Yeah.
It was just they were having a good time with it. So
At least we have new pictures and new pose as opposed to the one with his hand in front of his face.
Yeah, that's true.
And you can pre-order Season 8 already.
It's not even released. Oh, that's good. I like that one.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. That's really good. Yeah.
The,
All right, again, we're going to look at pictures. The viewers can't see,
the
so
comments
listeners
on
can't
the
see.
Go to
Season 8
Sean's
review.
Twitter.
Let's
feed.
do that later, so we're not tempted to leave the listener out again.
The
we do
comments
every
on the Season 8 review were phenomenal.
No,
Did you read the Amazon comments?
Oh, there's comments.
There's
on
already
it.
comments
They're
on about how
reviewing
awesome Season 8 is.
it. That's great.
I saw somebody said I ordered this yesterday and it showed up 6 months ago.
And then our last bit of news, which
Rather
Keith and I
fitting.
stumbled by. Well, Keith stumbled upon this tonight. Is pretty interesting.
Charlotte Pollard Series 1 now available for pre-order from Big Finish.
Tell me more.
She's traveled with the 8th Doctor and the 6th Doctor, and now she is going it alone. Charlotte Pollard, played by the ever-magnificent India Fisher, returns in May for her own series, and you can pre-order it now. I don't know if I want to read too much of this because it might give spoilers. The adventuress is abroad once more, meeting lost expeditions in uncharted forests, solving enigmas, and hoping beyond hope to see people she misses most, her family. But Charley cannot run forever. The Virens, I think that's how you say that. No, the power of the lamented cipher, and they have a solution for everything. Starring India Fisher, Michael Maloney as the Virens, Louise Brealey as Millicent, and a couple more guests are keeping under their sleeves. If you don't recognize the name, Louise Brealey plays Molly Hooper in Sherlock.
Molly, the lab tech.
Yes.
Oh. No, I didn't recognize the name.
4 new adventures and a bonus disc coming out. I don't see a price, but
Exciting.
That's
Again,
very
if,
cool.
if you like, that's neat. It's exciting if you like Charley.
yeah. A pre-order price for the disc is $40.73, $20 for digital. That's for all 4.
For all 4
Yeah.
stories. Do you get the bonus disc material if you order
Doesn't
digitally?
say. I would think so.
Yeah, because you're helping Big Finish by ordering it digitally. You don't have to press as many discs.
Makes it a bit cheaper.
Yes. All right.
That's
good.
it for news.
Very good. Well, then let's move on to feedback.
First up in feedback is Lisa. Lisa writes, comment question, hello fellow travelers in the Vortex. Thoughts on the Dr. Fashion Police edition. Apparently Mr. Capaldi and company have been listening because you can't miss the Doc Martens number 12 is sporting in the official outfit photos. But they have added a red line Crombie business on the outside, party on the inside. Double snap on that. I can't say how middle-aged Madness he looks. For those who don't know his band called Madness and their style, they are London's house band, 7 smartly dressed men who have been doing their thing for 35 years now. On a serious thought, Capaldi has raided Suggs and Chaw's closet. Cheers! That the rude boy doctor is being followed by a semi-suede head, middle-aged nutty boy look is more than fine by me. Ska and mod are my thing. Will American men get out of there? I'm waiting to grow into my t-shirt and shorts like a young poor kid uniform? Doubtful. Today, I don't care because the new doctor is rocking some Doc Martens. Put me in the mood, so I slipped on one of my pair of DM boots, turned on Madness's night boat to Cairo, that is optional, and dreamt of the TARDIS depositing me on stage to dance with Maddies as they bring down the house with the best closing song ever. I'm hoping the TARDIS gets an earworm, picks up Suggs, Chaz, Mike, and the rest of the band and takes them on a trip through London's past, bringing to life Madness's masterpiece, The Liberty of Norton Folgate. This was a part of London that until recently, London, a 1,000-year-old city and everything being relative and all, had their own government. It's where all the interesting people went to do business and whatnot. Sort of musical, touring an area of London over time because the TARDIS has taken shine to any one of these good-looking, sharp-dressed men and just keeps showing up at the same place at different times, and their time is just plain funny to me. Like Rory being the pretty one and the Doctor's wife. I am a fan of both the band and the Doctor, having arrived nearly simultaneously in the States from the UK and rescuing me from my friends from Bad TV. Worse music and terrible hair and clothing styles for men. So the day we have Spinal Tap dressed Doctor has been put off yet again. Take that, headbangers. Oops, I didn't mean to gloat. Very much enjoying the reviews of Alt Doctor material. Take care, everyone, and get your dancing boots. We're headed for a ride. Lisa.
I suppose it's probably fitting that Capaldi sort of chose the style based on some of his past with his band and everything else. So, very cool. Thank you, Lisa.
So now I have to look up Madness, huh?
You'll have to look up Madness.
Because
I want to say I know one of their songs.
I think I have a hole in my my music edification.
Well, particularly look for Night Boat to Cairo.
Apparently I need to.
All right, next up is Rachel.
Rachel writes, feedback submitted. Hello, Vortex gang. Warning, rambling ahead. First, Allison's I think it was Allison, questioned about watching Classic Who and whether it's a chore. It's funny because this particular topic was discussed on one of the panels I was one during I think is what sorry.
She didn't either.
One of the panels I was on during Chicago Tart is called Fandom Culture Clash. In my own experience, I started watching whatever stories were available on Netflix, which barely scratched the surface, but I figured it was a good place to start. Once I got through those, I realized that I still hadn't seen the TV movie or anything with Colin Baker's Doctor. So I watched the TV movie and then the Twin Dilemma. Probably not the best choice to get started to introduce 6.
I don't know. Start at the beginning.
But what can you do?
You get the worst out of the way first.
You're not allowed to say that. You still haven't seen it.
From all accounts.
But it's coming up.
If not the worst in Doctor Who history, it's at least
It's
the worst in Colin's six Doctors era.
But what can you do? But then I saw comments online, and though I'm not sure about Trial of a Time Lord, intrigued, I watched the whole thing, and by the end, 6 and his brightly colored coat had weaseled their way into my heart. And then I found you guys and jumped into Friday Night Who, and you were watching Trial, so I got to see it a second time, which then reinforced that, yes, this Doctor was awesome, and now Colin Baker is my Doctor. I guess this feedback actually ties into Holly's feedback as well. Considering Christopher Eccleston's Doctor was the first I saw, he does hold a spot in my heart. And I love David Tennant's Doctor as well. But at the end of the day, Colin is it. I digress. If you're introducing someone to Classic Who, I don't think I would start them with An Unearthly Child and have them mainline. In my husband's case, I know what he likes, and based on his likes, I thought he'd enjoy Pertwee's Doctor. And I was right. So if you're friends with a new person to Classic Who, and I'm familiar with the Doctors and their stories, introduce them to a story or Doctor based on things they like. I would say pick a story that is considered good or best, but as we've learned from the podcast, that can be subjective. Talons. But I think with the right Doctor and stories that everyone can find something in Classic Who they like. The Talons comment there was hers and not mine.
Yeah, but it is ours too.
But it is ours too. Anywho, I think my rambling makes sense. At least I hope so. If not, I blame it on my brain being frozen due to the never-ending winter here in the Midwest. As of right now, we're looking at getting another 47 inches in the next couple of days.
Sounds like we're going to join you on that one.
Rachel. P.S. I was fortunate enough to see Dr. Phil perform Friday night, and I was quite impressed and enjoyed it immensely. If you ever get the chance to see him and his group, do it.
I saw the pictures that you took with him, so...
Looks like it was quite fun.
And you got to hold his bass.
Cool.
Why are you going there? Why would your mind even go there? I mean,
didn't mean to go there.
Bass.
It just popped in my
his
head.
bass. Or cello, whatever it was.
I think it was a cello.
Speaking
cello.
of cold...
She called it his baby.
His baby.
Speaking of cold, I wanted to let you guys know that I Facebooked Brenda, because she's down in Atlanta, who had that horrible snowmageddon thing going on.
Which is funny because we got as much snow here last night. We didn't shut down the city, but we're used to it.
We're used to it.
They don't get that.
They don't get well, and I from what I understand, it was actually they had 2 inches of ice that fell first, and then there was an inch of snow on top of that, which is what caused all the when the weathermen were like, "Oh, you should go home now," and everybody did.
Well, that's the problem. Everyone got on the highway at once.
So massive gridlock, people sleeping in CSVs, and
who said you should go home now.
I loved all the photoshopped covers of the first season of Walking Dead.
Yeah, well, it's eerie. That's exactly what it looked like.
Except it was both sides of the highway. I think.
But at any rate, I did Facebook Brenda, and she is fine. She actually apparently was feeling a little under the weather and called in and rode out the storm at home. So she had a fire going and soup and had all kinds of things to keep her occupied, and she's doing well. So, Brenda, we just wanted to throw out we're thinking of you. Hope everything's still going okay down there.
All right, very good. Well,
for those racking their brains trying to think of that Madness song, it's Our House.
In the middle of our street?
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't know that.
That didn't even occur to me.
That's the song. Right, I knew one of their songs, and that's it.
In the middle of our street.
All right.
Dun, 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 dun,
Next up is Chrissy.
Yes.
And Chrissy writes, every girl's crazy about a sharp-dressed Time Lord. Dear Vortex boys, I'm sending this one in early. I doubt I'll be able to peel myself away from the Super Bowl on Sunday, so no football commentary for me this week. And I can hear Keith's cheering all the way from Saturday morning.
Hey, I actually watched this time.
for the commercials.
So? I absorbed some of the game
I'm sure you
through
did.
osmosis. Whenever I looked up occasionally from Doctor Who Legacy.
I'm going to get a little emotional for a second. Right before Christmas, one of my dad's business partners asked me to come work in his internet sales department. Dad said it's because our family side of the business deal is going to be taking on more responsibility in this particular area. Nothing's finalized yet, but it's still kind of on the down low, and there are parts of it I don't even understand, and it's just a really long and incredibly boring story. This new job, or this time of year, it's really slow at the library, and I'm not getting a lot of hours, so I said yes. Well, this new job is a lot different from anything I've ever done, and it's been tough on me to finally, or to really find my feet with it. It's taken a lot of stress and energy for me to deal with it. On top of that, I had to get the accelerator in my car replaced and took forever to get done, and tempers have been running high because of it, mostly my own temper.
That'd be alternator.
What'd I say?
Accelerator.
Oh, it is the alternator, yeah. Well, yes. That's even worse.
The accelerator program. That would be the engine. I'm sorry, go
I think the
ahead.
accelerator's a pedal, isn't it? I just thought it was a pedal.
It was a pedal.
There's a pedal broken.
Yeah, that would cause a lot of problems too.
It is against
Is
the
it one of
back.
those models where you have to put your feet down and run really fast?
Like the Flintstones.
Sorry.
It is against the backdrop that I made the decision. That backdrop that I made the decision not to go to Galley this year, even though it would be tough from. Excuse me. Even though it would be a much needed break, and I really didn't want to back out. But last week, when Glenn relayed the message that I wasn't going, and Sean and Keith reacted the way you guys did, particularly Sean, well, I was really touched by your concern, and that I would be missed at Galley. I was listening to the podcast right in the midst of all the chaos going on last week, trying to find a few moments of sanity. I might have gotten a little teary at Sean's joke about starting a Kickstarter for me to go to the con, to get to the con. I just wanted to let you guys know that even though it was a little thing, and I'm probably kind of stupid for getting emotional about it, I really appreciated your kind words. I am happy to report that I'm getting the hang of this new job, and I'm understanding my role better within the organization. I haven't quit the library, and I don't have any intentions of doing so in the foreseeable future. And my car is running fine, though my bank account is pitiful. Hopefully that will change with time. Anyway, it's just one more example of the wonderful group of friends that has grown around this podcast, and I appreciate that we look out for each other, even if it's just sending encouraging words over the internet.
Aww.
I'm glad we could help in our small way.
Hear, hear. Okay, enough schmaltz. The 12th Doctor has a new costume, and he's been spotted out filming in it. Personally, I think it looks fantastic. People have talked about it being reminiscent of Pertwee or Eccleston or even Hartnell, which I can kind of see if I squint and look at it sideways. Personally, I love it. It's sleek and classy, and it just seems to fit the character, which is a weird thing to say since we don't know what kind of character the 12th Doctor is going to be. Yet. Have any of you seen the show Person of Interest? One of the main characters, John Reese, is a mysterious action hero type guy who shows up to help people out of tough situations. Think of Jack Bauer as an even more rogue element. Jack Bauer? Really? Okay. That's not how I think of Jack Bauer. But okay, sorry. Think of Jack Bauer as an even more rogue element. And he always wears a black suit and white shirt. It's kind of his trademark. People whisper about the man in the suit who saves people and then disappears. Capaldi's outfit kind of reminded me of that. I doubt that anyone thought of that when they were deciding on 12's look, but the connection I made, and that's the connection I made, and I think it's kind of fitting. Pun not intended. It's kind of fitting. Yeah, that's good. Also, I don't know if any of you have seen footage from the filming that's been done, but I'm even more excited for Series 8, and I won't go into details in case you want to stay spoiler-free. I usually don't seek out reports, but the day I found it, I kind of didn't care. It's funny because up to this point, I know the Doctor has regenerated, and Matt Smith is gone, and Peter Capaldi is the Doctor now. But that's all logical thinking in my head. But my emotional thinking is my heart still hadn't let go of 11. It's not that I don't like Capaldi, or I don't think he'll do a good job. You have been reading my feedback on the subject, right? But somewhere deep down, I still keep thinking of Matt Smith as the Doctor.
Good, I'm not the only one.
And then I'd remember that 11 was gone, and I haven't really seen much of 12, so it's kind of felt like there was no Doctor at all. It's weird where my brain goes with this, but seeing Peter Capaldi in the new outfit and pictures of him in it, the outfit in that outfit filming outside the TARDIS with Clara, it's starting to sink in that this is really real. That we actually do have a Doctor and that the character is in terrific hands and things are going to be fine. I certainly haven't had that perspective at all, but I want to comment on that because that's interesting to hear that, because I think that's kind of maybe where a lot of people might be coming from when they see
it's definitely making it more real.
And I wonder if that's calculated from the production staff and the promotions department to kind of let these things out so that we can get used to, just like telling us who the next Doctor was going to be like 6 months ago, to this point of just kind of letting it out a little bit at a time, allowing people to get used to the idea of
I think
Peter.
Also there's been a lot of non-BBC set pictures, and so the move to release the costume is very calculated, because the next day we saw pictures of him filming
on the set,
and so they knew they couldn't keep those pictures from
Can't
getting
keep the
out.
genie in the bottle, but you can control it.
So they definitely released the costume in advance, knowing that.
She goes on to write, "Man, I'm even more tangential than the three of you usually are. Sorry about that, but here's my review of this week's Big Finish. Scaredy Cat. When I looked at my download and I saw that it was shorter than usual, I thought that my copy had been corrupted or something. But no, this story really is that short, and that's all it needs. It's like they trimmed out all the excess running around and gave us the bare bones of the story, which I don't think Big Finish is really prone to doing a lot of that unnecessary running around in general. It's an interesting idea to visit a planet totally kept free of human intervention, which begs the question, how do you really get to see a planet that's totally free of human intervention and still say that it's free of human intervention? Don't think too hard about that. Your head starts to hurt. Still, I can't fault the refugees who landed there all those years before and needed a place to live. I do like the timey-wimey aspect of it, and the Doctor being able to find out what originally happened with the little girl and the spirit of the planet millions of years before the scientific expedition started. Brings to mind the 10th Doctor telling River Song, I'm a time traveler. I point and laugh at archaeologists.
That's a good point.
Other lives. It's Doctor Who meets Freaky Friday. Except they don't actually switch bodies, and the French diplomats go missing, and the Doctor is mistaken for some lady's husband. Okay, actually, it's nothing like Freaky Friday. Maybe The Parent Trap. A little? I really enjoyed this one, even though there are some dark themes here. Cariz being imprisoned as a sideshow freak, and Charley being mistaken for a lady of ill repute, and the Doctor having to help a family in danger of losing their home because their uncle's a twit. I actually thought there was some humor underneath all the peril. It's an interesting way of doing a historical piece, which it took me a while to realize that it was a pure historical, other than the French diplomats taking off in the TARDIS, because Team TARDIS gets so wrapped up in historical events. It's kind of in the same vein as The Romans, a dark comedy meeting famous historical figures, meddling in small events that turn out to be okay in the long run. Very enjoyable story, and one I'm sure to listen to again. Well, I'm off to do some reading in preparation for your reviews over the Gallifrey weekend. I have already read Harvest Time, but I probably ought to look it over again to refresh my memory. Have a good week and stay safe out in the winter weather. That includes you, Dr. Phil. What have you been thinking driving in a whiteout?
He's from Chicago. He's used to whiteouts.
Speaking of winter weather, Utah finally got some. And it's very strange indeed when places like Georgia and Florida are getting snow and Utah is clear as a bell. Well, as clear as we can get in this stinking inversion. And if you're really if you've never experienced inversion, all you people in the flatlands of Kansas consider yourselves lucky. I'm almost there. Google it and you'll understand. As much as I love living in my mountain valley, sometimes it's not all that it's cracked up to be. Bye for now, Chrissy.
Thank you, Chrissy.
I've never heard of that term.
I was comment about something and I forgot what I was going to say. Maybe it'll come back to me. Oh, are you doing Harvest Time?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like,
Is that
that's not me, but I didn't remember you saying harvest time. But okay, all right, we're good.
I don't think I said it. I just said, here, this is what I'm going to do.
Oh, okay. Well, I knew I wasn't doing harvest time, and she said that. I thought, maybe that's Keith, but I don't remember Keith picking that book either. But okay.
So which one are you doing?
I'm doing the Resurrection Casket. Oh, him?
Yeah.
I'm doing Resurrection
You're
Casket.
doing
Yeah.
Yours
He's
is
doing
the
Resurrection Casket.
10th Doctor story?
It is 10th Doctor story.
And
And yours
I'm
is third?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Spiral Scratch, which is a 6th Doctor. I figured since I'll be...
Oh, that's fitting.
Yeah. By Gary Russell.
All right.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Up next is Holly. Holly writes, Scaredy Cat and Other Lives. Hey guys, seems like deja vu yet again. I'm really hating this polar vortex that decided to make another swing by my neck of the woods and others. So I got another 2 days off from school, which we'll be making up by going a bit longer in June. So what did I do? Pretty much the same thing as last time I had 2 days off because of the cold. Played some Doctor Who Legacy, listened to some Big Finish audios, read a bit, and even went back and listened to some older Traveling the Vortex podcasts.
Gosh.
Let me preface
The warmer of the two vortexes.
Yes. Hopefully. Let me preface this by saying that before my Christmas break from school, I decided to go back and listen/re-listen to the beginnings of the 8th Doctor Big Finish main range audios. I wanted to go back and listen to what you guys thought about them. Really cool going back and listening to Charley meeting the Doctor for the first time and the political stuff with Romana and the CIA right before heading into that divergent universe was fun. Right now I'm up to the Twilight Kingdom, which is the audio before I joined on the divergent universe. Now onto the Big Finish audios that are on the docket for the
So
podcast.
she's almost back around to catching up to herself. Because, right,
Yes.
she started in the Divergent universe.
That sounds
She's
right.
into the audio before she joined in the Divergent. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. You're almost there.
yeah,
You've
powered
almost,
through
you've
them.
almost caught up to everything that we're doing then. We've done.
Scaredy Cat.
Hopefully you agreed with us that, well, the early ones were a little better than some of the Divergent stuff. But.
Scaredy Cat, an interesting story to say the least. For a while there, I thought Flood was going to be revealed as the master with all his mind control tricks. I was breathing a sigh of relief somewhat to find out it was just from the experiments that Flood went through. Carissa's scenes with Flood were powerful, and I was so glad that the Doctor wasn't too badly hurt when he was shot by Caris. The only thing that had me scratching my head was why Galena kept chanting Scaredy Cat. There really wasn't much of a mention as to why, unless it was just her way of pointing out that Flood and the others were scared of certain things and just not admitting them. Other lives. The Doctor and Charley get to go exploring at the Crystal Palace, and Cariz has to get left behind. You'd think that there would be some sort of mini chameleon circuit or a shimmer device like the ones the Vinvachi had to disguise their true nature floating around somewhere in the TARDIS. But then again, someone needed to stay behind to make sure that the TARDIS doesn't get towed or sold to someone for decorative purposes. I can say that the Zachary, started to get on my nerves the first couple of minutes into his introduction.
I thought so too.
Loved the scene between Charley and the Duke of Wellington the first time they met. Interesting twist with the Doctor, Charley, and Cariz having doubles in the same time period that they traveled to. All in all, two pretty good audio stories. I'll wrap it up here. Looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts on these two stories. Holly from Wisconsin.
Very good. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
Well, let's head into our reviews of both these audio stories, starting with Scaredy Cat.
Death walks on Aranda. 1,000 years ago, the people of Kaludar vowed to never set foot on their sister planet. While the 8th Doctor does not intend to break the law, his companions have their own demons to grapple with.
Dun dun dun. It was good.
That's kind of where I was coming down, but I wanted to get another opinion before I committed to it.
There's certainly no horn whatsoever on either of these stories. I'll say that right here. The thing is, these are better than the Divergent Universe stories. These two particular ones. But I came down on it just as this was just kind of their story for me as far as how everything played out. I was like Chrissy. I looked at the length of this thing and I went, "Wow, that's awful short for an Eighth Doctor story, for any mainline story." But it probably served well from that idea because there's not a lot going on here. I mean, it's an interesting concept, but there's not a lot going on here, and so it does pace itself very well.
They could have padded it with some additional attacks from the natives.
They could have,
a
but they
base
didn't
under
need
siege
to.
story. But
They
I'm glad they
certainly
didn't.
Yeah.
It helped the story that they didn't pad it.
Yeah. I conceptually, I like the idea of a group of scientists that are watching and uninvolving themselves in the history of a planet or human intervention. But as Chrissy said, you can't really not have human intervention if you're already watching, and that's basically intervention enough. I too thought
there's a scientific phrase for that. It's escaping me, but there's a scientific idea and principle of nothing is truly pure.
As long as there's observers.
Once you
The
study
very
it,
act of observation changes the thing that's being
observed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly true.
I can't remember what it's called, but
I too thought that Flood was going to be revealed as the Master.
I was kind of disappointed when it was.
I was a little too, because I thought, oh, hey, this is getting good. I know who that is. Oh, no, it's not.
Flood would have really made this. If the Master had been in it, I think it may have elevated up to
Might
that.
have, yeah, certainly.
Although it wouldn't have. How they would have done it, I guess they would have had to just made sure it was an earlier version of the Master.
I don't know.
Following the TV movie, I mean, he's kind of done until the Time War. I mean, there's not much you can do with the Master in the Eighth Doctor era.
Yeah, that's really true.
Unless he, like in Light at the End, encounters him before.
Prior to.
Yeah. That's the only way it could work. And after I kind of realized that, I was like, well, it makes sense that he's not the Master. But it's still slightly disappointing because he was very Master-esque.
He was very Master-esque, and I just, like I said, maybe that's, the bane of Who fans is going to look for things that aren't actually there, and we just kind of all jumped to that same conclusion that, oh, maybe this is who this is. And then we all felt vaguely let down that it wasn't, but at the same time not, because I think you really would have fundamentally had to change the story at that point to work the Master in there. So it probably worked out for the best that it wasn't, but yet at the same time, it's like, it would have been really cool.
I don't know how I feel about the whole mysticism that was part of the planet and everything. I felt like they didn't quite scientifically explain it well enough for me.
No, I think you're right. I think it didn't quite go there.
It felt too mystical.
Yeah.
Other than that was really my only complaint with it. I mean, it was fast paced. It didn't drag.
I had this girl that had been there for millions of years,
and how
sort of
and they tried to. I think they tried to explain it with the poison.
Yeah,
but then
because everybody else was wiped out, but she wasn't
because she was in some coma.
She was still waiting.
And then the spirit was there because of some. They gave it a phrase, but it just was. It was pseudoscience,
right?
And I just never a big fan of when they do that.
They tried. I give them credit for trying to kind of explain what happened there, but.
I just felt a little
I do
bit
like the timey-wimey aspect of the fact of the Doctor
really
going to check out from this point to this point, how the progression got from here to here.
And what's great about that bit is, okay, we've got Keres from the Divergent Universe where there is no time, and him having to deal with these ideas, and that he can't save these people because... Well, then we wouldn't be here investigating.
We would mess up the time
trying
stream.
to wrap his brain around this idea of time that he's never encountered before.
Right.
And that part I thought was really fascinating.
Right. Yeah.
I totally thought you were going to go a different way with that. I expected you. I fully expected you to link up to Hyde. Is it Hyde with the haunted house? Where he goes into the planet's future and past, and he's taking samples every several million years, and then comes back with the kind of complete picture and goes, "Okay, I've now figured it out."
Yeah,
well, I just totally figured you would have gone there because, well, Matt Smith already did it, so
I didn't even think of that while watching it because I think because it was
only went to one point.
It was just the one trip. That's why I never went there.
No, I agree. I thought it was really cool. I went there. It's just like in that episode we watched.
I continue to really like Keres. even with the dark side of him, and then
I
trying to
flip back
make
and
him
forth.
kind
I
of
did too.
evil.
I flip back and forth as well.
More in the next one than this one. I thought he was more the good Kara's that we wanted to be.
Well, that's
in this
just it.
one.
I mean, he's very schizophrenic in some ways, because there are times where I really, really like Kara's, and I love the relationship that he and Charley have, and they've kind of continued that brother thing going
Well,
on.
and then it was nice that he and the doctor got some one-on-one time.
Yeah, that was cool too.
That
That,
was
it wasn't
really
just an
nice.
automatic, let's pair them up and have the doctor go off and do something else.
Yeah.
He and the doctor got to spend some time together doing this, and the doctor kind of giving him
Because-
companion 101
well,
that
yeah.
nobody
Right.
can't change the past, and this is why.
If Charlie had traveled back there with him, she would have understood.
Right.
And it would, and then they wouldn't be
You
able to
wouldn't have
convey
that
that.
dynamic.
To,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't be able to convey that to the
But then
audience either.
the Kara's that shows up in the next one is, I don't know about him yet.
Well, I can understand and justify.
Yeah,
kind of
I just say
why
that's
in the next one.
I like
Well-
Kariz better in other lives because there's a little more justification
Yes,
as to his
more,
reaction.
more than any of
At
other
least in
time.
this one, it's some of that's the control Flood has over him.
Yeah.
In this
Yes.
one, so
Well, and
Well,
I'll,
yeah.
I'll explain more about, because the one thing, honestly, I didn't have a problem with. It was the other that I was going, okay. But, did anybody get a Final Fantasy vibe?
I don't. I'm not familiar.
Are
with
you
Final
talking
Fantasy at all.
Spirits Within?
Spirits Within?
It's been a long time since
Have you
I've
ever seen the
that.
Final
I'm
Fantasy
not
Spirits Within?
familiar
Okay.
with that,
I don't know how. I'm not a big enough Final Fantasy game person to know how much the movie diverges from that.
From what
story
I
arc.
understand,
Yeah, probably quite a bit. They talk a lot in typical Japanese anime kind of ideas about the planet Gaia having this spirit and that you can pollute it and different things based on stuff. And I kind of got that that's maybe where we were going with the little girl in the coma, and that they're kind of reaching for that idea, but maybe didn't want to pin it down to that specific theory.
Well, I think that's why it feels like pseudoscience.
Yeah.
Because they it's like they're going to that maybe idea, and then they don't quite go that far, so then they feel like they're having to explain it with
Yeah,
pseudoscience.
well, and I almost wish that they'd have just said that if the doctor had just said, "Oh, it's Gaia," that to me would have at least kind of solidified the theory of what I think they were trying to go for, instead of keeping it in this
but
nebulous.
still Gaia-
maybe not.
Gaia is still somewhat mystical.
Well, it is, but
But what he's saying is they would have at least gone there.
They-
And said,
they just
okay,
would have
it sort of concludes that, yeah, we're going with the supernatural mystery of it all because that's kind of an open concept. But by not quite going there and trying to answer it with pseudoscience, and almost because it doesn't go as far as
stumbles
the
and falls
mystery,
right before
but
the
it
line.
doesn't answer it scientifically enough, you're in this limbo of, metaphysical and physical.
right, because Gaia, while still mystical, there's more science on it than just saying, "Oh yeah, sure, we could do that." Which is kind of what the doctor said. The idea that the planet has a race memory too, I think, is just short of calling it Gaia. I just
Yeah.
It kind of.
I can see that.
Well, now that
Not
I think
knowing
about
that
it,
much
it
about
kind of gives it the 42 and Rings of Akaten aspect of it. Of this planet is alive, like the sun was, or whatever.
I still took that to be there was an entity in the sun.
Yeah, I did too.
Maybe that's my science
I
brain
don't know.
kicking in,
It's-
going. Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem with that story is they don't clarify that well enough.
Rings?
Yeah,
We'll revisit that one.
we'll revisit that later. But
Nothing wrong with Rings. Rings is an awesome story.
Vortex
It's an awesome-
revisited.
Well, we better go back to a town called Mercy then.
And I found that I can't listen to the song anymore without crying.
Oh,
So apparently
they did it right.
they
then.
did it right. Because I love that song. Because I listened
And it
to
was
it
so
on the
great
Proms
on
audio that I have.
in the regeneration scene. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, other than that, I kind of there were things that they set up in this that didn't surprise me at all. Like, okay, we're on this planet where there's no people. Okay, how long before we find people? There they are. Okay, good. And we're doing horrible things to the natives. This is going to end badly. Oh, the natives are attacking. All right, good. Okay, so it's just kind of
Makes
like,
sense.
Check. What's next on the disaster list? We should have a natural disaster coming up anytime, like an earthquake or something.
Oh, there it is.
It was kind of almost, in some ways, it was like paint by numbers. But then they turned around and did some other stuff that it was like, what do you mean this isn't the master? He's... and his performance of, I'm just a little guy, and I've been, wrongly accused.
Charley should have seen through that.
Blah, blah, blah. And I bought it. I'll admit it. He had me fooled because I didn't like the scientist guy, so I was kind of waiting for something bad to happen to him. And then all of a sudden the guy's like, Mwahaha, I'm actually the most evil incarnate. I'm like Charles Manson meets Timothy McVeigh. And it was like, wow. Didn't see that coming. Okay, so where are we going to go from here? Oh, we're going to mind control carriers and shoot the doctor. What? I thought it struck a nice balance between what I was expecting out of a Doctor Who story and what...
And left turn.
I wish that the science aspects of it could have been a little more nailed down. And I agree. I don't know why it was called Scaredy Cat. Her chant.
Other than that little chance of trying to make it creepy... That's the only thing I can think of.
It's one of those, for the people that complain about Stephen Moffat using nursery rhyme type stuff as prophecy, but then never really... It kind of fell into that realm of thing,
agree.
I think more so that...
Yeah, no.
Because I didn't do what it was supposed to.
Because I like Moffat stuff. I didn't like that one so well. So that's why it's kind of more of a meh, because there's a lot of stuff that I liked about the story, but then when I got done, I felt kind of unfulfilled by it. It just wasn't there.
Anything else about this one?
I don't think so. Let's move on to other lines.
Wasn't in the Divergent Universe. That was a huge step up from
London, 1851. While visiting the Great Exhibition, the Eighth Doctor, Charley, and Carez are separated from the TARDIS and each other. While an assassination plot threatens to foment revolution and set up a republic, the travelers must reunite or be stranded forever.
Okay, this one's kind of a twofold. My first initial reaction...
Oh my gosh, you're going to have the same idea that I
was... meh.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of
have the opposite.
It was kind of dun dun dun. And then I started thinking about it and dwelling on it and dwelling on it. And now I think it kind of gets a dun dun dun. Because I think I liked it better after I thought about it.
See, I'm the opposite.
I didn't like it when I was listening to it.
I'm the opposite. I'm the exact polar opposite.
You're my kryptonite.
I would have done this until I got to the end of the story, and I started thinking back over it, and I thought, what was that? No, really, I did, because I enjoyed it. I thoroughly was enjoying it.
I enjoyed it all the way through.
It was a wonderful story, and everything was going on, and I was enjoying the fact that everybody split off and doing their own things. It's purely historical, and I'm recognizing that about a third of the way into it. I'm thinking there's not going to be any alien intervention unless they surprise me with it. Maybe they will. And then it just keeps going and keeps going. And then their stories just kind of play out.
Aside from...
And then come back and meet together. And then it's over. And I went, what was that?
The resolution I wasn't very pleased with.
That's the one problem.
The resolution.
Yeah.
It just plays out.
Yeah,
and then
that's just it.
Okay,
that's what you mean. Yeah. And then that's what
the TARDIS just happens to show up 3 days later.
When it does happen, and I thought, oh, okay, that's an ending. In fact, when I listened to it, I thought, oh, that's an ending we don't usually get. Okay. And then I thought back over it, and I thought, I liked all of the little aspects of the fact that the Doctor is mistaken for this lady's long-lost husband, which I thought was a little weird, but then she kind of goes on to explain that she sort of convinced herself of that because of the situation that she's in. It wasn't like she was being totally deceptive, because I got the impression that I think she wanted to believe that he was him, because she played it that way. Yeah. But then when she kind of realizes that, no, I've got this wrong and he's right, he's not who I'm saying he is, then he goes on through with it. And I thought, how admirable that he goes on through with this in order to help her with this, uncle, to be able to get her to keep the home and the boys. And And so that was really neat, and I absolutely loved Charlie's relationship with the Duke of Wellington. That was such a wonderful story.
The Duke was just
the
well
Duke was
written.
great.
Phenomenal.
I loved the Duke, and so I was having a great time with that. And then Chariz's thing, which was that was the uneasy storyline. That was like, wow, okay, they're going there. This is exactly what would happen if an alien came to Earth. They would end up at a freak show at this time in the 1800s
in the
or whatever
Victorian
it was.
era.
Yeah, I mean, it just. I thought, okay, that is so what would happen. And this, I can't remember the freak show owner's name, but
Crackles.
Jacob Crackles. I just hated that guy, and I thought, now, that one does go to a place where...
A dark place.
Yeah,
Very
really
dark
dark place that I kind of wish they hadn't, but it's almost... Based on what we know of Chariz,
it's a reminder
little justifiable. I mean,
it's more justifiable in this than previous examples, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What he went through and what Crackles did to him.
Yeah.
Did Gyarados cross a line?
I think Chris did cross a line, yeah. And I don't like that much.
But you can see the line getting him there.
Yeah,
at
agreed.
least.
So it depends really on how you want to look at that line. If we're putting Gyarados in the same True Blue companion category as other people, did he cross that line? Yes, absolutely.
We fall into that trap, though.
If we're putting Gyarados in that, well, he is from an alternate universe, and he's still got voices rattling around in his head, apparently, and everything. Was he justified in what he did? Yeah.
Well, for him, yeah.
We fall into that trap, and that's why we don't like the way that it plays out. We fall into that trap of wanting them to be True Blue companions, and we're doing something different with Chariz here. We're doing something different in this story, and it's really hard because we're trying to meld the two, and it
almost feels like they're trying to do a reverse Turlo.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
In some ways, yeah. Well, let's see. Turlo's the closest that I can compare example-wise when I think of Chariz. I go to Turlo. And
I think the actor who portrays him just does such a phenomenal job.
Yeah, he's really good. I'm still kind of in that. Are you still trying to bash people with a rock stage, or are you the Turlo I like? Right. I'm still back and forth on him. Right. But you're right. It's just how I think this is going to. I suspect what they're doing is that there's lingering effects, and they're bringing and not just bubbling to the surface for no reason. That there is a master
I believe so
for
too.
this.
Well, and here's
hopefully it'll make the Divergent Universe pay off.
This is my review of the story. It was a good story. You know what it is, though? This story is character development of 3 characters that I already know.
Well, yeah.
And the way that the stories went and played out was exactly the characters that I'm familiar with. So that's why I come down on the fact of as I thought back over it, I thought, maybe I didn't, but maybe I wasn't as. That's why that's why I go the opposite way. As thinking back over it, I'm like, I should have expected everything that happened. I didn't learn anything more about these characters because this is a story of character development without developing the characters anymore. For me personally, because I already know these characters well enough that you didn't teach me anything new. And so I just enjoyed the ride, but when I got to the end, there was no wow. So that's where I come down on this.
There was definitely no wow to it. I kept waiting for something to happen out of left field because I could kind of see where it was headed, and I was like, well, maybe will they go that way? And they just kept going that way, and I knew where they were going, but I didn't know if they were actually going to do it or not. And so there was a nice payoff of listening to it of, oh yeah, okay, yep, that's going to happen. Okay.
The red herring here is the fact that you expect them to do a bait and switch, and they never do.
The one thing that truly surprised me about it, I completely forgot about Rufus Dimple Squeeze by the time he showed back up.
Yeah,
and I was like, nice way to tie that back in.
Right. I forgot about him too.
India Fisher does a great job, but I could tell that was her as Madame de Roche when they introduced Madame de Roche.
Really?
Yeah, I could tell it was her. I heard her.
I didn't know. That's India Fisher?
Yeah, India Fisher does Madame de Roche. Conrad Westmass, Chariz does Monsieur de Roche. and Paul McGann does Edward Marlowe.
I heard Paul at the end. I can pick Paul out anyway. That's Paul McGann. But
I only did because I saw the cast.
Oh,
list.
I hadn't seen the cast list. I did not hear Conrad Westmass in Monsieur de Roche. But so, because I could hear India Fisher doing Madame de Roche, I knew that they were going to eventually go to that, okay, she's going to dress up as her.
Right.
And they dropped those nice hints of, oh yeah, you look just like that person earlier enough that I knew that's what was going to happen.
Certainly Correa's does not look like that.
No. That was some nice bits of him not wanting to wear the wig.
Yes.
I think. Okay, now where you came down on it, as I was listening to it, I was genuinely thinking that it was a little confusing with because we've got, again, these multiple people playing the same characters and pretending that we're playing these same characters and mistaken identity. And that's kind of the one linchpin that I fell down on listening to it, because I was like, what are the odds that all these people have a duplicate in this time period? I mean, that seems, especially Kariz, who's not even from this universe, that he's going to pass for somebody. Okay, we're going to put a wig on him and make him up, but, really? It just seemed...
There was a lot of
force.
There's a lot of coincidence in this.
And I don't know about you guys. In my head,
fate is a fickle.
In my head, when I'm listening, I still kind of picture Kariz as a termite. I don't know why. Like
I picture a mock turtle.
Well,
I don't know why.
I don't know why he's insectoid, but with the exoskeleton
I picture him as the reptilian character on the Flash Gordon cartoon from when we were kids. I can't remember the character's name, but he that's who I picture.
Yeah.
But with more like a translucent skin.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
that's who I picture.
That's good. That's good. So that was another thing that was a little. How is this going to work? I kept falling back on that. Really, the Doctor looks just like this husband guy. Okay. And I struggled through the whole listening of it. And it wasn't until we got to the end with kind of the height of ridiculousness.
At them?
No.
I don't know what this character you guys are talking about, so I'm trying to find out.
It wasn't until we got to the end, like the last 20 minutes, where it was kind of the height of ridiculousness of we're attempting to masquerade and we're waltzing through the thing, and the Duke coming up with, that great exchange of Kariz, Doctor, Charley, Doctor, and just everybody's saying it. And it's blown the plot completely wide open. And the Duke comes up with, leak a story about doubles. And then I realized this is a farce. This whole story is not meant to be, even though it has dark things happening in it, it's not meant to be over-the-top serious. It's meant to be just a fun historical romp. And once I realized that, and then I dwelled on it a little bit, I liked it a lot more than I did when I was listening to it, because as I was listening to it, I really felt like it wasn't going anywhere, it wasn't doing anything, and it's yet another in a long line of these Eighth Doctor stories. And as much as I like Kariz, maybe he's the bad element, we need to get rid of him, because it's just not working. But like I said, dwelling on it, it started to come together for me, and it kind of gelled a little bit better. Now, I agree with you, Keith, that the end, there needed to be something that caused...
I needed a better explanation of why the TARDIS came back, other than the line he gave of it's slipping, whatever.
It just slipped and drifted off, apparently.
Yeah, because I like the...
He didn't have the parking brake on, I guess.
I like the explanation. Oh, well, they were able to activate it because I took off the controls so you could open the door. I liked that idea.
Yeah.
And I didn't... When the story first started, I thought, oh, man, they're pulling a canine with Kariz. Because he hasn't been to Earth yet. This is his first time on Earth, from what I remember. At least from what I remember, unless it was future, I can't.
Keith, that might have been him. It might have been the species, but it looked different than I remembered it, because I've got it's kind of this guy here, which is similar to what you showed, but yours was a little more fan-made, I think.
Yeah, it was fan-made.
That's him.
Gray reptile.
Right there, green.
Oh, his was, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Theirs
Yeah.
was his was gray, but
It's still the one I think I'm thinking of.
yeah.
But yeah, I just I still think that the end.
Sorry, listeners, we're showing pictures that you can't see.
It would have been nice to have something that tied all these story arcs together. That there was one little linchpin that kind of revealed that the Doctor had to go do this with this woman because the uncle character is somebody who had some dealings with the French ambassador who would have been necessary for Karius and Charley to go do their thing. And then when they all met up, there could have been a neat little tense scene of don't anybody break character and ruin it.
Yeah, that's it.
That, because we've got to get all this stuff resolved and,
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of wanted that. Now, I'll be honest, what I'm really curious about, what adventures did the French ambassadors have while they were off? Because it was 3 days for us.
That's a good question.
Who knows?
I got the impression.
It was instantaneous for them,
Yeah.
nearly.
We're led to believe that, but maybe they're just playing it off. Maybe they had 3 years of wandering around the universe in the TARDIS and went, this is the greatest thing ever. And then it took them home and they looked at the scanner and went, aw, the ride's over. Okay, we don't say nothing. We just try and buy it from him again. Yeah, okay. There you go, Big Finish. There's a whole series that you can shoehorn into that 3-day period for you. Keith, you said you liked it from just top to bottom all the way around?
Well, I as I mentioned, my kind of complaints with it.
Other than the end?
Yeah, I enjoyed the ride. Expecting a left field turn, not getting it was a nice kind of change of pace, actually.
Especially as after we get
and
sort of a left field turn in the one before this.
Yeah.
So.
And I was very kind of meh on it while listening to it. I started to like it more and more as we got further and further. I think I got more invested in the situations, like especially with the wife that the Doctor supposedly had, and the Duke was so phenomenal.
I absolutely loved that character.
They could have taken him.
I loved he
with
and
them.
Charlie's relationship.
Yes.
They were great.
Arthur.
And then the Zachary trying to in the middle, and that moment
Come for Zachary.
That moment when Charley just shut up, the Zachary. And I think that's when the Duke was like, "Oh, yes, I can respect this person."
Yeah.
and so I started very meh on it, and I grew to like it more and more. And then when it ended, I was kind of kind of lackluster ending, but overall the ride was worth it.
Yeah. See,
It was
again, I
enjoyable.
enjoyed the ride. It's just as I thought back over it, and I thought they really didn't go anywhere with it. But yeah,
Maybe I liked it because it was a nice reminder of who these characters are. It's been a while since we've really visited.
when you frame it that way,
you had
I kind of like it better because you're right. We've done such different things with the characters. We've explored the characters in such different ways that this is really more of a revisiting of how they truly are, who they truly are.
I think that's
Okay. Maybe that's why I don't hate it.
maybe that is, and maybe that's why I'm so. I liked it enough. It was because it feels like it's been a while since we've visited these characters, and so this was just a nice, good refresher. While we had the last story we did, but this was just more of an in-depth look at the characters.
It was a return home to the familiar.
Yeah.
Huh. I like that analogy.
I can buy that. Now, I want to talk about Karius. So, the dark part of the story. All right, he's in the zoo, in the sideshow circus thing, and being gawked at and horrified and scary.
Wait.
And justifiably angry over the spectacle that's been made of him. And he threatens the guy, justifiably. But in that Doctor Who companion mode, it's an empty threat. We know you're not actually going to do anything to this guy. Right. You're just mad and angry and going to, I'll get you when I get out of here. Yeah, okay, whatever. But it's Karius. So he actually has the ability and apparently the will to make good on his threat. And so when that scene came, I was really torn because there was a part of me that was totally rooting for him to do something horrible to this guy because I did not like this guy at all.
I think I almost would have preferred it if he just killed him.
I'm curious to know what exactly he did.
Yeah,
he left him without the use of his legs, at least temporarily. Right. I don't know how broken or mangled the guy is. and blinded, at least temporarily.
Yeah.
So
It sounds like he. That's the problem. Is we don't know exactly what he did or how permanent these things are. I got the impression that they were going to be permanent.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I was left too. And this is going to sound really strange. The description that followed the threat did not have the appropriately accompanying sound effect. Did anybody else?
I didn't.
Like he says, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to save you, but I'm going to do this." And there was a noise, but it wasn't the crunching of bones being broken, like with his legs, or the gouging out of eyeballs. I don't know what he did to the guy.
yeah.
And my brain was like, "What? What?" And I'm not normally like, I don't. There are certain times when a noise is quite sufficient to fill in that gap,
Yes.
and sometimes it's like I didn't need to hear that.
Right.
But I almost think that I needed more than what this was, because then when the guy comes back and he's like, "Oh well, I can't see and I don't have the use of my legs," and the other guy's like, "Yeah, well, I'll take care of you." What did you do to him? I mean, it's just I'm still kind of reeling from that, trying to figure that out.
I didn't have that much of a problem with it. So
I didn't.
I
don't know if I
like
liked
you,
it.
just assumed he blinded him and crippled him, and so I was just fine with that.
I don't know.
I wasn't fine with it, but I was satisfied with
With the answer given.
answer. Yeah, the image. But
I just, if you'd heard, and then he came back, I can't use my legs. We've gone, but it's almost worse not having that, because there's. How did he do it? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Mordecai is the meets the ear, apparently.
Yeah.
But so yeah, now the voices in my head tell me not to. Or they want me to save you, but I'm not going to.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, it took me a minute, because I was like,
Right.
"Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about it." Yeah, I forgot all about that part of it. What do you guys think? Is this?
I think it's more peppering in the idea that Kariz is still dealing with his demons, and that we're going to get a lot more of that in the main line.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because they kind of alluded to that in the last story when he's having his discussion with Flood about, "Oh, I'm a killer too."
Right.
But
Yeah.
that to me felt unlike Adric trying to get on the side of the vampires. That felt very much like Kariz is trying to pull one over on the bad guy to get the gun from him.
And it almost came across in the last one like he was remorseful of his killing, I thought, as opposed to this one where obviously he wasn't.
Yeah, well, and that's the weird thing, is when he's talking to the killer, he sounded remorseful, and my thought was, "Dude, you're not selling it."
Yeah,
you're not going to convince this guy. But in this one, he was like, and whoa, okay.
Well, that might have been the way he was written too. So
that's
that has
true.
a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, you'd think the actors would kind of be able to carry over the consistency in the character, even if it's written a little differently. Maybe shape it a little enough that it still stays consistent throughout the two. But you're right. There's quite a difference in the Kariz from one episode to the other, one story to the other.
Did anybody think the Doctor was tempted to stay?
A little bit. But I think that was intentional. I think the writer was saying, that it's just like 10 when he was hiding out, and recognized what kind of life he could have had. It's the same thing. It's recognizing what kind of life I could lead outside of what I'm doing, and sometimes maybe that's a tempting alternative, but
I think he was also, if it weren't for the kids, taking her along with him.
Yeah.
I wonder if it made him think about Susan and whatever life he had prior to. I wonder if that was maybe part of it. Is
that's a good point for even family nature, or human nature, family of blood. That could play into it also, thinking of Susan and the life he had before.
Right.
I never thought of that aspect of it.
That strong attraction to the life,
normalcy.
the road not traveled. Yeah, normalcy. I don't know. I couldn't
Lifelong
give it up.
ago.
Opening that door on, I couldn't give it up. I don't know that I'd even be tempted to give it up. I just, where are we going today? I don't know. Just open the door. Let's go.
All right, well, what do you got coming up on next week on the schedule?
Next week on the schedule, Sylvester McCoy. Survival. Cat People.
Cat People.
It's been a really long time since we watched that.
And that
been
one's
really
no
long
longer available on Netflix.
Correct.
Right?
I think. Yes.
It's not on Netflix.
Not on Netflix.
I don't know when it was, but it's not now.
It was a long time ago. But
We watched that one at your old place.
we did,
Yeah. Very early on.
So that was an earlier.
Evans.
In fact,
Was that the first?
that might have. No, I don't. It might have been your first Sylvester McCoy.
Well, yeah.
No, I
wasn't
think
it?
Delta and the Bannerman was your first Sylvester McCoy.
That sounds right.
Was it?
I think
Yeah.
it is. I think it was.
The two were pretty close
We
together.
did watch them close together, yes. Well, I think Delta and the Bannerman was his first introduction to Syl. He and I are like this now, so I call him Syl.
Oh. Syl.
That's what Daphne kept calling him.
You said Syl, and I went, what?
No. Not that Syl. Not
Okay, I got you. I'm with you.
Syl, that's the coin.
Other Syl.
Yeah.
Got it. So, yes, that is...
The Syl we'll be hanging with.
the Syl we'll be hanging with,
Yes.
and the reason that we're doing it... some people wonder why it's the madness behind the mayhem. Because, yes, there are other stories that we haven't reviewed
most
yet.
people do. No, go ahead.
Well, then I won't talk about it.
No, go
I'm
ahead.
curious now.
No, go ahead. I think we're the only ones curious about what your thought process is. I don't think the listeners do.
I think the listeners are, you've already reviewed that one. Why are you going to do
Oh,
that?
okay. That maybe you're justification.
I guarantee you, Christy's going, when are you going to get the Caves of Androsani? Why are you making me watch Cat People again?
Not to mention, there's still Paradise Towers you haven't done.
Yeah.
That is a Sylvester McCoy. Go ahead.
Did we tweet along to Survival? I don't think we did.
I think so.
Did we?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, we will this time.
We will this time.
If we didn't,
I'm
we
pretty sure
we will
we
this
did.
time.
But the reason that we're watching one that we've already watched is because next week we have a fun show. You might even say it's a game show. Not that kind of game show.
No.
We're going to talk fun and games. We're going to talk a bunch of Doctor Who games that are available and kind of review them and give you our thoughts on them. Maybe even Yahtzee if I can scrape together another $20. Stop buying minifigs, vinyls. So yeah, we're as of right now, we're going to be talking about. We're finally getting the official Traveling the Vortex review of Doctor Who Legacy on the docket.
Yay!
So that you can stop
I'm excited.
listening to us talk about how
I'm
cool it is,
excited.
and instead listen to us talk about how cool it is.
And then next week you can hear us talk about how cool it is.
Yeah.
After that.
And
Because I'll continue to talk about it as long as it stays awesome.
I have to play it a whole bunch to try and catch up to Glenn by next week. We're also going to be working on the Doctor Who card game. And we will probably have a brief mention of Doctor Who Monopoly. Maybe Doctor Who Yahtzee. I don't know. We'll throw a bunch of stuff in there for you. And then the following week, we're going to... I will be at Galley. So the guys will be holding down the fort with Friday Night Who with Mark of the Ronnie to celebrate the fact that we've got Colin Baker there at Galley. And then the book reviews, which hopefully I will be able to Skype or send in an audio file or something with my book review, the one.
Okay.
Assuming I get it done.
We'll make it work.
And you guys will be doing the others. Which, one more time, your homework, if you're wanting to read along on the books, is Harvest Time by Alistair Reynolds, which is a third Doctor story that Keith is
Wait,
reading.
are you doing Harvest Time? No, I'm just kidding.
Keith is doing Harvest Time. I almost read this backwards because I skipped over the first part of my paragraph. It says Harvest Time by Alistair Reynolds while Glenn. And I ran that all
I'm
together.
not
And was
doing
like, so Glenn's doing Harvest Time. No, Glenn is not doing Harvest Time. Keith is doing Harvest Time by Alistair Reynolds, third Doctor story. Glenn is doing 10th Doctor story, Resurrection Casket by Justin Richards. And I will be attempting to read Spiral Scratch by Gary Russell, which is a 6th Doctor story. And I don't say attempting like I'm already anticipating it being a bad story. I say attempting because I don't know what my week's going to look like. It's going to be busy. So
But you're going to have to do it the first part of the week.
yeah. Well, I could do it on the plane, but
Oh, yeah.
depending on how it
Is it
goes,
a long one?
I don't know. I haven't looked yet. So there's that.
All right.
And then it's Galley and everything. All bets are off. Because
All bets are off.
it'll be crazy. So
Cool.
I got the ribbons ordered
Yay.
this week officially. And then what else did we do? We're
I
starting
wish we could be there with you.
to put together the itinerary to try and figure out what we want to do when, and when's so-and-so available for autographs, and when are we going to go do the picture thing, and, kind of put that whole nonsense together. And got What else did I do this week? Got the hotel and the rental car and the flights and kind of the whole shebang all lined up for that. So,
And you'll be taking us along with you in your
Luggage?
yes,
Woot.
I bought a big bag. It's a TARDIS bag. It's bigger on the inside. It's
You
Mary
probably
Poppins
would
bag.
end up paying
Hopefully
more
it's
for
heavier on the inside than the outside.
Yeah. You'd be paying more for the baggage check than you probably would a ticket for each of us individually.
Here's the thing. I was actually thinking about that, not necessarily in relation to that, but I was thinking about this the other day, where they talk about which of the E-Space stories was it? They talked about the weight of the TARDIS. And Romana said something to the effect of,
It was Warriors Gate.
Was it Warriors Gate?
Yeah, because they were talking about the weight of the TARDIS, and they were talking about the weight of the ship, because it was made out of White Star alloy or something.
Yeah, because how do we... No, was it?
No, it wasn't Warriors Gate.
It wasn't Warriors Gate.
It was the first one.
The first one. Because she's there with Adric. Because that's
Romana
how
was
the
asking about it in
savages
the
pick it
cave.
up. The Marshmen. They picked it up,
that's
carried
right,
it up
that's
the
right,
hill.
that's right. Yeah. Oh,
And they
I
were trying
forgot
to,
about
because they were
that,
going to
yeah.
use it as a battering ram or something. And I thought about that, and it's like, okay, so bigger on the inside does not equate to mass, because we've seen the TARDIS picked up and put on the back of Marco Polo, picked it up, put it on the back of the cart. We've seen policemen pick it up, put it on the back of trucks. We've seen unit soldiers pick it up with helicopters. Obviously, the thing cannot weigh what it should weigh.
I would think it would be relative to what its chameleon circuit is. When it was the organ, it would be weight relative to the organ.
That brings up an interesting theory on how the chameleon circuit actually works. We may have to investigate that at a later date.
Glenn looks really confused.
Well,
Is it not
maybe
just
it just
a-
kind of just
a
perplexed
visual
me there,
field,
because
yeah, it's not just a visual. It physically turns it into
I'm
that
really
item.
trying to think of it. It's never been anything that didn't have probably equal weight and mass, because the organ even probably
close
was
to the weight
close
of
to
a-
the weight of a police box.
Well, would the master's clock weigh?
Its grandfather clock would be
Not-
weigh a
not-
lot
not that
less.
heavy.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an excellent question.
Because
yeah.
the monks
The monks was an altar,
was
Yeah.
stone altar.
which I would
That's
imagine
a
is
good
heavy.
point.
Would be heavier.
That's a good point.
What
Maybe
was
it
the
is.
other thing? Not the organ. What was the other thing it
Just
turned
that
into in
weird
that story?
pillar, that weird ornate
The
pillar.
cabinet.
Yeah.
I would think the pillar. Well, that's what,
It's,
what it's made
I think
of.
I got the impression it was like some wood cabinet-like pillar. Yeah. Shippable.
Anyway. But yeah, it occurred to me that the whatever the outside of the ship is, whether it's tied into the chameleon circuit or not, obviously is not the same as what the inside is, because the
Yes.
inside's
Infinitely
bottomless.
How did
So-
we go down this path?
Luggage.
Luggage. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
It's just gone noon, half past monsoon on the banks of the River Nile. Here comes the boat, only half afloat. Osman grins a toothless smile. Only just one more to this desolate shore. Last boat along the River Nile. Doesn't seem to care, no more wind in his hair as he reaches his last half mile.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.